Which of the religions is the most correct? I am glad to welcome you to my channel. If this is your first time here, then postpone watching this video, and watch the very first video on this channel, which is called What is this channel about? Religious topics have interested people at all times. And throughout human history, a huge number of religious teachings, practices, and their various offshoots have been formed. Many people ask this question. After all these religions cannot be true. There can be at most one truth. Or not one at all. Well, let's figure it out. When you ask modern people about religion, one way or another, several terms will come up in the conversation. This is faith, this is the church, this is a ceremony, and this is atheism. The modern world has accelerated. And our life in all its areas begins to optimize. And this optimization has reached the religious views of people. Many people say, why do I need intermediaries? Why do I need temples, mosques, synagogues, and other similar institutions? I will communicate with God directly. He's omnipotent. Maybe he won't be able to listen to me, and maybe even someday he will even answer. Moreover, many people even have successful experience in such practices. But in all cases, without exception, such practices lead to mental insanity. Or without exception, even the most mentally stable people. You must understand that God will not speak to you personally, because you are not even able to correctly perceive it. For everyone, God is either an old man with a beard, or an absolute, or some other image from old fairy tales. And here you will be talking with exactly one of these images, which is closer and more interesting to you. But in fact, it will be just a mask. And under this mask your alter ego will be hidden. Yes, exactly. You will have religious conversations with yourself, endowing one of your personalities with divine properties. I think that it is more than clear here that in this situation the psyche is rapidly or slowly shaking, and quite disastrous consequences can come. You might say that then why bother with religion at all? After all, you can do without any religions and live your life as an atheist. Yes, absolutely. But for that you need to become a militant atheist. And as you yourself understand, you will not be able to live your life without any contact with religion. Moreover, militant atheism is the same religion as everyone else. Only this is the other pole of religious worldviews. Clear convictions, and a specific vector directed at the beliefs of other people in the absence of God, as well as a constant search for evidence in the absence of God, will allow you to live your life in peace of mind. Household atheism is another matter. When you are not interested in religious and spiritual issues at all. When you start living only to satisfy your natural needs. Anyway, sooner or later, a person with a more or less high IQ is asked questions of being and what is on the other side of being. Having lived all his life with the convictions of everyday atheism, a person is covered by the darkness in which he believed after death. This is a very painful blow to the psyche. Moreover, in contrast to religious belief in God and direct conversation with Him, as in the first case. When the psyche is shaken gradually, then in the case of everyday atheism, the psyche is torpedoed simultaneously and unexpectedly. There is also the traditional, church experience of religion. And this experience is useful from a psychotherapeutic point of view. There are all kinds of church teachings that have prepared answers to the questions that torment you. These answers have been polished for centuries and tested on generations of people. The church gives you, in addition to everything, the community. And this will mean that you will have a sense of elbows. You will psychologically understand that you are not alone. That you are not the only one tormented by questions and thoughts of a religious nature. You will have the opportunity for psychotherapy on all fronts. You will communicate with people like you. You will have the opportunity to associate with God's guides. And sometimes even directly with God. Of course, such psychotherapy does not exist without negative aspects. It is imperative to look for decent clergy, because these guides between you and God can simply manipulate you. And it will even be a massive manipulation, because other parishioners will fall under this manipulation along with you. Often priests are blamed for self-interest. And any mentioning in one sentence of money in church is perceived with a negative. Of course, in principle, the money issue is a separate and big conversation. And it deserves a separate video, even in several parts. Therefore, you should understand that the same priests need to eat something, and the fact that they have some kind of monetary relationship with their parishioners is not such a big trouble. Of course, you can choose a therapist instead of a church. But the risks will remain the same. A psychologist who is not clean on his hand may well start manipulating you for his own personal gain. Well, you yourself understand that such specialists do not work for free. And they will cost you much more than church donations. The last thing I want to dwell on in our general analysis is the ceremony. And here, just the key to solving our main question lies. For what? Almost all religions use rituals. Although in fairness it should be noted that there are religions that fundamentally abandoned rituals. For example, the same Baptist Christians. But these are rather exceptions that also need to be analyzed separately. But the most massive, so-called world religions use rituals. And all the ancient predecessors, these are the Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, Sumerians and many others, use rituals in all corners of the planet. The general and main purpose of all rites is simple. This is either the cajolement of certain supreme essences. Our requests, they are pleas, they are prayers to the same entities. Or entity worship. Moreover, if in general the concepts of these religions, then they can simply break on logic and common sense. They are not slender, they are contradictory, they are not logical. The militant atheists safely and use. And the more written works of clerics come out, the further religion drives itself into a corner. You say, then all religions are false. No, it is not. There is one true religion. Moreover, only a limited contingent knows about this religion. This religion is very old and very secret. Everything connected with it is held by a huge number of secret seals. But small portions of information, for thousands of years, seeped outside the circle of the initiate. Naturally, the leaked information received its own interpretation. It was overgrown with speculation and legends, as well as perjury and other similar husks. As a result, numerous religious teachings and trends began to breed, based on these leaks. The human essence has always been the same. It doesn't matter when everything happens, now or thousands of years ago. Direct evidence of this, you see in our times. Namely in the tribes of the Polynesian Islands. It is not very far from Australia. In order not to stretch the timing of this video, I advise you to find information about the cargo cult and the John Frum cult. Analyze them and then essentially compare them with today's world religions. You will be very surprised and even shocked. But back to the truth and secret religion, from which the very leaks leaked. And this true religion is distracted from everyone else. Everything is very simple. True religion always gives the desired result. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. If the Muscat patriarch takes the icon, several bottles of holy water, sits down in his marsid, and performs the procession of the cross, in order to expel the epidemic from the capital. Then after this rite, the epidemic must go away. No excuses are accepted. If the rituals do not work, or they work every other time, then there is no sense in them. It is one-on-one like a cargo cult. Polynesian Aborigines can make rifles out of bamboo, and epaulets from eucalyptus leaves, after which they can march as much as they like the British military, and wait for a transport plane to drop grubs. But the fact is that the transporter will fly or not, regardless of whether the natives march with bamboo rifles. Religion is true if it always works. But you can argue with me. Why then consider it a religion? If it always works, then it is already science. But the fact is that science can and should be fit into definitions, paragraphs and formulas. People have tried to do this religion and its rituals for thousands of years, but they still have not succeeded. Therefore, while we can consider it precisely as a religious practice, what exactly is this true religion, I will tell in the following videos. If you want these videos to come out as quickly as possible, you can support me. A wallet for cryptocurrency is in the description.